All right. Well, thanks again for joining us for today's edition of SPINcast. Joining us locally, we have a teacher over at Sun Valley High School. His name is Will Gay. He is actually the director of their Esports Club as well. So we certainly appreciate you taking this time during these crazy times, if you will, to take a moment just to educate us a little bit about what you have going on there. So first and foremost, how are you today? And I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, Rick, I appreciate the invite. Yeah, we're just doing what we do every day, trying to keep education going in these challenging times right now.
Yeah, no, understood. Who would have thought that we'd get to this part of it? But I guess the one part of it is that the attention to gaming or esports in general has really risen quite a bit because kids are pretty much stuck at home and that's one of their outlets. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you got involved with the esports club, or how that all came to be anyway over at Sun Valley High School.
Sure. I mean, I've been a gamer since all my life, and I had my own arcade of 80s upright video games. So I've always loved gaming, and we didn't really have anything at the school to be able to have an outlet for people who are gamers there, either computer or console. And one of the other science teachers approached me and said, I think you'd be interested in what this guy's got going on. And that person was you. And so we got in contact and the ball started rolling of, can we get something going at the high school level in Union County, especially at Sun Valley, for an outlet for kids who want to be able to get together and game. And so we just said, okay, let's see if we can't get a club. We started the process, did the paperwork, and just put an announcement over the announcements that day. And next thing you know, you got 40 kids showing up in your class, and we never thought we'd have something like this here. And thank you so much for doing it.
That's awesome. That's a pretty big starting point to start off with that much of a group, that size anyway. And I think that's one of the things. I think there's a significant interest in the community. I just don't know for sure that people understand how deep that interest runs. And obviously it gives a lot of people the opportunity to be a part of something, to be a part of an organization or a club, which I think is pretty important in general. So let's talk about, with you in specific, what's the day-to-day look like for the club? When do they get together? How much time do they spend at it, et cetera?
So at the first meeting, I got to, put everybody's name down, sort of like what game they like to play, console, that type of thing. And then we said, how often do you want to meet? Most clubs are, once a month, maybe twice a month. And we started that every 2 weeks. That was where we started at. And it got to be where, can we meet more often, especially the console people? They're like, we would love to be able to, almost do this every week. And I'm like, I don't know if I can commit to that yet, but every 2 weeks, we can definitely do that. And it was. So we would have a meeting every 2 weeks. People would show up. And then we'd have to split it between console and computer, especially right now with us not having the facilities to be able to do the computer side. It was mainly console, and we'd hook up, 2 or 3 switches and Xbox to 60-inch televisions, and we would just play, including me. I'd hop on there with them too, and just have a blast gaming for an hour and a half after school.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully those opportunities will continue to grow in terms of how often the kids can congregate and do a little bit more. Tell me about that. Tell me about what some of the challenges are currently that you face with running an esports club.
The biggest one is growing something organically from the ground up with not having a lot of resources to plug into, especially with the hardware aspect. Most of these guys have Steam accounts, so the software is not a problem. It's having a computer lab with the computers that can run the games that they want to be able to do it to go to that competitive level and have the actual esports team. And that's what we're deficient in. Our computers probably could run it, but it would not be a great experience for the kids. But only like 1 or 2 schools have the labs that we could do it. So growing it from the ground up is a huge challenge that you have to do, and keeping the interest with the kids who want to do the esports level gaming when you don't have the facilities for them to do it yet.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine how difficult that must be. So talk a little bit about that, because from what I hear, rumor has it, you guys actually, with all of those challenges, were able to really put together a pretty impressive Rocket League team.
Yeah, when I first meeting, when I was grouping people by what game they like to play, I had a bunch of guys come up and said, "Listen, we really love Rocket League. We play all the time. We play together." And I'm like, "Okay, I think I've heard of it because it's not something that I'd play myself." So I do a little research to see what it was about. And then when I started talking to them, I'm like, we got something here. I was like, how often do you play? And they're like, we've put thousands of hours into this game. And I'm like, that's some dedication right there. And so, yeah, we put together a team and competed against some of the colleges in an event put on by CJ Collins and 54 Studios. And it was an amazing experience for those guys to go see, this is what the people do at the next level, not in the professional, but just at the college level, and the dedication they put in, the fun that they had. And that was an eye-opening experience to those guys.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So one of the things that I love about it is the camaraderie that it builds versus, staying at home and doing it on your own. Certainly a club atmosphere or even any type of competitive atmosphere where you're able to sit down with your competition is certainly, in my opinion, worthwhile. So those were some of the challenges, but if you had to look into the crystal ball for the future, if over the next year or two or three, if there were some things on the wish list, if you could, to provide to let this club continue not just to grow, but to do well and thrive, what would some of those things be?
Into the future, if I could, convince not just the kids but the parents that this is something that kids can do not just now but for the rest of their life. If they're interested in gaming, there's so many other aspects that besides just the console playing that they can get into with coding and all that other stuff, that there's opportunities out there for them to really plug into this. Also, what I would love to do is to keep growing it to the district level, where the district says, this is something we should be putting in every single school to allow kids, like we said, that may not be the varsity football player or basketball or run track, but it gives them an opportunity to compete at the school level and represent their school in a little, sure, it's not physical contact, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of adrenaline, and it would be great to have, schools being represented by kids that usually don't get marginalized sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. For me, it's all about inclusion. It really is. It boils down to, finding a path that student might not normally take because the opportunity is not there. And if there's a good amount of students per school that would be interested in pursuing this pathway that can lead to so many different career and collegiate opportunities, then why not? And again, from my perspective, you talked about it's not physical sport, but it brings out all of the good things that you can learn from any type of conventional sport, sportsmanship, right? Being a teammate, coaching, being coachable, things of that nature. So hopefully that's something that we do see more community spread as we grow with this esports vein. So now, how many kids do you have? You mentioned you had about 40. How many kids do you project potentially going into the future? You think that number will grow? Do you think it'll diminish?
Depending upon the resources we put into there, it could definitely grow. But if we don't put the resources, yes, there's going to be some drop off because, once again, the computer guys aren't having the place that they can do what they want to do. So unless we have the resources put there where, okay, I've got at least 3 to 6 computers where we can play esport games there versus other competition, not just within the district, but you can go, nationwide and have these tournaments that they could play in. So you can definitely keep growing the console people. I mean, Rick, you should see the battles we have in Smash Brothers. I mean, it is, 6-person battle royales, 8-person, 2v2, 1v1s. I mean, it is amazing. We'll have 2 to 3 televisions going just with Smash.
Right.
And the amount of kids that play this, I mean, there are people bringing in all their controllers and everything. And I'm like, this is amazing to watch these kids play this video game, and they get so excited and they're talking trash, but it's hilarious. And it's G-rated stuff. But they also, GG after everything. They're always giving people and bringing them up and say, I'll work with you on this. Let me develop you on this. So the camaraderie is there. So it's a great thing, and we can grow this, but we just have to have the facilities and be the technical hardware to be able to do it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hopefully we'll get some people that are watching some of these podcasts and start to understand maybe they can help contribute to the growth of the sport, whether it's in their community, in their school, et cetera. So if you can look at esports in general, take it outside of Sun Valley for a moment, esports in general, what type of pathways or opportunities can it provide for students as they get beyond high school, in your opinion?
Just by, like I said, by seeing these college guys at that, now it's just one Rocket League tournament. There's so many esport games that have collegiate teams that travel around all across the country to compete in these tournaments. And, they're making podcasts. They're bringing their, multimedia people with them to film the sessions. I mean, there's so many things that you can do at the next level to just, if you're in the gaming, well, maybe I have a scholarship to do that, but I can get into coding, or I can go in this aspect, in the broadcasting aspect. I mean, there's just so many things that the kids can do, not just with the gaming part, but there's so many other things, that pathways that are generated at the next level.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think it starts from the ground up, meaning the younger kids trying to have an understanding about not just the gaming, but what can come out of it, as well as obviously parental buy-in and educating them, as well as what some of those pathways are that can be created. So, well, again, we're pretty much up on time already. It goes by quickly on these things, but
It does.
I do sincerely appreciate your time. Really, I want to congratulate you and thank you, not just for coming on, but obviously the paths that you're being able to provide for some of these kids that are obviously incredibly excited to be able to get together as part of that eSport club at Sun Valley High School. That's important. And the fact that you're willing to lead the charge and take some of your time to do that, man, I sincerely appreciate that. That's great stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to circle back and continue to keep in touch as to what's going on in the community. And we'll see where we are once all of this COVID-19 passes through. Hopefully we'll be able to get back to a little bit of sense of normalcy over the next few weeks. So again, I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day.
You got it, Rick. Thanks for the invite. We'll see you.
All right.